Make them know you got the full support. And don't be bring back humanity in the community and build back our river for England like the right man, yes. Black Panther the right man. Pringle is the right man. Black Panther the right man. Pringle are the right man, yes. Black Panther the right man. Pringle is the right man. Black Panther the right man. Pringle are the right man, yes. Right Black Panther the right man. The right man. Pringle is the right man. Black Panther the right man. Pringle are the right man, yes. Black Panther the right man. Jamal Pringle are the right man. Pringle is the right man. Black Panther the right man. For the future, alright. Yeah, houses East and St. Luke. Now is the time. No, no, no. The time is no, no, no. The time is no. Now is the time to vote. The time is no, no, no. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to cast your vote. Now is the time to start to work. Now is the time we bring your hope. Now is the time for
So
action.
let's all join together as one. If you believe that the time has come, election day when you stay in your hand, the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? No. What time it is? No. Now is the time for action. What time it is? What time it is? Now is the time for action. Now is the time to build the nation, to seek for the children education. It's time for a leader who have a plan. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to reduce the tax. Now is the time for all crime to stop. This is the time we're not giving up.
So let's all join together as one. If you believe that the time has come, election day when you stay in your hand, the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? What time it is? What time it is? Now is the time for action. What time it is? What time it is? What time it is? Now is the time for action. Now is the time to put them out. 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 Now is the time.
So let's all join together as one. If you believe that the time has come, election day when you stay in your hand, and the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? What time it is? What time it is? Now is the time for action. What time it is? What time it is? What time it is? Now is the time for action. Now is the time to cast your vote. Now is the time to start to work. Now is the time we bring your hope. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to take a stand. Put up your hand if you understand. Now is the time to put them out. 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 Now is the time.
Oh my Antigua, oh my Barbuda, please Jesus, please, please deliver our we from this evil labor party. Oh my Antigua, oh my Barbuda, please Jesus, please, please deliver our we. Hear this song. deception and their arrogance. Please deliver our way. There is no way.
Them mash up the country. Man, enough is enough. No more of the trickery. Them fool us enough. They don't care nothing about me. Only friend and family. The nation is balling. We can't take it no more.
Please deliver way. Please deliver way. Please deliver way. There is no way. Please deliver way. Please deliver way. Please deliver way. There is no way. From the disrespect, juvenile rudeness, abuse and contempt, and despitefulness. Please deliver our way. There is no way. You bring me to the rescue, 'cause it's about you. You bring me to the rescue. It's all about you. You bring me to the rescue. It's all about you. You bring me to the rescue. It's all about you. Oh my Antigua, oh my Bermuda, please Jesus, please deliver our way from this evil party. Oh my Antigua, oh my Bermuda, please Jesus, please deliver our way. Hear this humble plea. From shameful scandals and shenanigans, lies and bribery and vulgarity. Please deliver our way. Hear this humble plea.
Them sell off the country. Never kill us with dead. No land for the poor man. But look one land scam. Sold back into slavery. Them foot pan the neck. We begging for mercy. We not take on them home. today in Antigua. People say must be a vampire. Cause he sucked the treasury till it dry. He big and fat, never satisfied. Rolling day and night, he biting everything inside. That's why we must stop the bloodsucker, awful and wicked monster. Cause he's sucking the young girls' virtue, even the young men too. The lifeblood of this nation, but his thirst goes on and on and on and on. But now we facing the end, drop you knock and not rise again. Borrowing pencil and tin, I redeemer looking for him. Get your stay, drop you're not going to meet his fate. Empire, 2,000 acres of land to be blood-sucking shiny man. That's why we must stop this bloodsucker, awful and wicked monster. Well, he's sucking the young girls' virtue, even the young men too. The lifeblood of this nation, but his thirst goes on and on and on and on. But now we facing the end, lucky luck and not rise again. Borrowing pencil and tin, I redeemer looking for him. Get your stay, love you not going to meet his fate. Hey! Whoa! Guys, go! No retreat, no surrender. Well, he drunk with blood money, have no mercy. More he drink, more he get thirsty. So he get with a Satan with that gun to cut up blood, how to get some blood. Build a big hospital, put the blood bank at his disposal. That's why we must stop the bloodsucker, awful and wicked monster. Well, he's sucking the young girls' virtue, even the young men too. The lifeblood of this nation, but his thirst goes on and on and on and on. But now we facing the end, Dracula cannot rise again. Cause borrowing pencil and tin, I redeemer looking for him. Get your stay, Dracula going to meet his fate. No retreat, no surrender. Like so. Get your stay. Some you are going to meet his fate. Get your stay. Some you are going to meet his fate.
Election time again, and you be the holy rain. Now let it slip away. We go vote them back in there. People try and understand. Hell, we mash up this land. It will be a disaster if we vote Labour back in power. We now vote Labour. We now vote Labour. We vote in UPP in order constituency. We don't need Labour. They mash up Antigua for leadership and integrity. Are we voting for UPP? Remember when you beat it took over, this country was really broke, suffering from a massive stroke. Under labor we walk for, everybody laughing stock. Them fellas acted like Robin Hood, taking everything that they could. We not vote labor, we not vote labor. We voting your people in all them constituencies. We don't need labor. They bankrupt Antigua for good leadership and integrity. Are we voting for your people? When you people take the rain, our country name was staying up and down the Caribbean. Oh boy, we were so ashamed. They couldn't pay salary, they owing everybody. Don't let them spoil your agenda. It's you people now more than ever. We now vote labor, we now vote labor. We voting you people in all them constituencies. We don't need labor. They report and leader for leadership and integrity. And we voting for you people. Tell me what you see. I know airport terminal, good for increased arrival. Scholarship for young people, the economy stable. No time to think about turning back. You people set us on the right track. We now vote labor, we now vote labor. We voting you people in all them constituencies. We don't need labor. They got sticky finger for leadership and integrity. Are we voting for you people? We now vote labor, we now vote labor. We voting you people in all them constituencies. We don't need labor. They got sticky finger. Tell Tanya swallow not to worry. This 10 more years under you people. We now vote labor, we now vote labor. We voting you people in all them constituencies. We don't need labor. They got sticky finger. Always Spencer is the man for we. If we go rebuild our country.
But I just feel like people don't understand me. I don't want to even give me a chance. Go to school, I'm a hard skill. I'm a hard worker, but there's just not enough jobs out there. The economy is so bad that I'm ashamed to say that we're in the year 2022 and water hardly won't near the pipe. No, them can't tell how we, in order to get a job, I must take the job. I understand the vaccine is a good thing and all that, but I just hate the fact that it's mandated. It's my body, it's my choice. I shouldn't be denied a job, education or benefits because the choices I make from my body. For me, this time, personally, the UPP is the right choice because they are the party of choice.
It's time to join the family at the People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We offer savings accounts, deposits, fixed deposits, loans, among other related services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook, and you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
The right Saturday hangout spot is about to open. And who better to socialize with than the United Progressive Party? Food Zone by the Sea. Food Zone by the Sea. On Pensioners Beach, the newest Saturday night hangout in Antigua. Great food, a well-stocked bar, and non-stop entertainment for everyone. King Warrior, Cannabis, and Young Juggler Sounds will be bringing the music vibes all day. You'll also be entertained by performances from Queen Ivina, singing Althea, G.E., Island Prince, Lyrical Reds, Lipnostic, Black Maddie, Mukaya, and the Cutting Edge Band. Join the United Progressive Party, Family and Food Zone by the Sea down at Pensioners Beach. Every Saturday starting May 28th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's the right atmosphere, so come, eat, drink, and party with us. A UPP social event.
I just feel like people not understand me. I don't want to even give me a chance. Go school, I'm a hard skill. I'm a hard worker, but there's just not enough jobs out there. The economy is so bad that I'm ashamed to say that we're in the year 2022 and water hardly one near the pipe. No them can't tell how we, in order to get a job, I must take the job. I understand the vaccine is a good thing and all that, but I just hate the fact that it's mandated. It's my body, it's my choice. I shouldn't be denied a job, education, or benefits because the choices I make from my body. For me, this time, personally, the UPP is the right choice because they are the party of choice.
My father died when I was just 5 years old. My mother came from Willikie's village. She had 5 young mouths to feed, and she toiled on her sewing machine to make ends meet. She was a strong woman who taught us right from wrong. And even though she struggled, the choices she made put us on the right path. I made the choice to work hard, play by the rules, and get an education. I had a number of opportunities, but I chose to return to Antigua and inspire the next generation. I taught at the Antigua Grammar School, and it's here that I saw firsthand how education transforms lives. I made the choice to get into politics because of the lack of resources that I saw in our schools. I saw how our teachers and families struggled, whilst an elite few got ahead. When the people granted us the opportunity to serve in government, we had a lot of work to do. As Minister of Finance, I helped to clean up the rot of 30 years of one-party rule. We saw our country through the global financial crisis and the Stanford collapse. Through all of that, we introduced the school meals program, the school uniform program, and laptops for children. While we were not perfect, no one is perfect but Almighty God. We work day in and day out to defend the nation and put people first. Today I see too many families struggling for a lack of jobs and the mental stress that comes with it. The cost of living is out of control, and for too many of us, water is still not readily available. And our needed pension checks are not coming on time. While the elite few did well, the ABLP denied you the right to choose what you put in your body. Whilst we believe in vaccines, we don't believe it's the responsibility of government to control your bodies. We will bring an end to all the mandates. This election is about choice, and we believe that we are the right choice because we give you the choice.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just asking because I'm not seeing anything.
The right Saturday hangout spot is about to open. And who better to socialize with than the United Progressive Party? Food Zone by the Sea. Food Zone by the Sea. On Pensioners Beach, the newest Saturday night hangout in Antigua. Great food, a well-stocked bar, and non-stop entertainment for everyone. King Warrior, cannabis, and young juggler sounds. We'll be bringing the music vibes all day. You'll also be entertained by performances from Queen Ivina, singing Althea, G.E., Island Prince, Lyrical Reds, Lipnostic, Black Maddie, Mukaya, and the Cutting Edge Band. Join the United Progressive Party, Family and Food Zone by the Sea down at Pensioners Beach. Every Saturday starting May 28th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's the right atmosphere, so come, eat, drink, and party with us. A UPP social event. The right Saturday.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Captain's Corner. Yes, we're back. We've been off for a few weeks. We had a public rally, we had Labor Day celebrations, there were so many other things happening, but we are back with you on the Captain's Corner. I'm Shawn Nicholas, and I'm with the Captain, Harold Lovell. Good night, and how are you?
Good night. Great to be back. And,
good.
Just to reflect on some of the things taking place in the country.
Okay, good. So before we get into tonight, we had, as I said, we had the Baker's Corner, in which we joined with the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union, and there was also Labor Day. Your quick reflections on those activities.
Very good Labor Day, and overall, very powerful Labor weekend.
Yes.
We had a great meeting on the Thursday where we shared the platform with the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union. We're very happy that they invited us to be with them. Had a great session down in Point. And then Labor Day, the morning, it was awesome. Very happy, very proud, very pleased with the turnout and more so the energy. Similarly, the Monday afternoon down at Fry's, we were able to pull a crowd that is the largest crowd that I've seen at Fry's since 2003. So I think obviously that's a very good sign.
A very good sign. Okay. One of the questions I like to start off asking, and persons tell me they appreciate me asking, how is Harold Lovell doing? How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm pumped up. I'm very energized.
Yeah.
I feel very confident. I'm happy to lead a party with some amazing individuals. We have candidates, 15 and plus myself, and they're all working very hard, and the feedback that we're getting is very, very encouraging. So personally, I'm very good. The heart's ticking at a nice pace. Everything is going according to plan.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the constituency, but let's talk about the team Redeem. What is it that you've been doing together as a team in terms of bonding?
Well, the team is really coming as, to me, it will be one of those amazing teams. In life, whether it be in sports, in politics, in business, whatever. Teamwork is very important. And having a cohesive team, speaking with one voice, energized and looking to the same vision, that is the goal, and I'm very happy to say that we have achieved that goal to the extent that the brotherhood and sisterhood, I have to call it, the family connection is really very heartwarming. So whenever we meet, it's always very good. And also with the wider party, it's really going very well at this moment. We've been able to get everybody working together, and we will continue to work this way because, it's going to be a campaign that's unpredictable. The Prime Minister, we know, based on his statements, had intended to call an early election. Well, we made sure that we suited up and we were ready in the event that it happened to be an early call. But we're always mindful that we will be ready for a short run, but we'll be equally ready for a long run. So at the moment, we are looking at different strategies, penetrating the constituencies, and making certain that we touch the lives of individuals in all 16 constituencies here in Antigua, so that whenever the Prime Minister chooses to call the election, we will be ready. And that's largely because we are in that situation where no matter what anybody says, the Prime Minister is cornered. We have him just where we want him. He doesn't know whether he's coming or he's going. As the English would say, he's at 6s and 7s. Because we were ready for him if it were early, and we were ready for him if it's late. But to be honest, time favors the United Progressive Party. So the longer he stays, the better it is for us. Because we are just digging in, penetrating, and winning hearts and souls in all the constituencies.
And that's very good to hear. I want to zero in a little bit on St. John's City East, which is your constituency, because in addition to being a political leader, I would want to imagine that first and foremost is that you're the candidate for St. John's City East. What has been happening in St. John's City East, and how have you been in terms of being in the constituency itself?
Right. Well, we continue our canvassing, we continue our campaigning, and I'm very pleased because the confidence that I am feeling now, I have not felt since that period just before 2004. And I use the phrase, the love is back. And that means a lot because City East is dear to my heart. And we really have had a great affair for many, many years. Of course, I lost in 2014 and 2018, and so I went and did a lot of work in finding out some of those reasons, listening to people, and rebuilding friendships, rebuilding the love that has existed between myself and the members of the constituency. And based on all the work that we're doing, I'm very, very confident that the current lead that I have over my opponent is one that he will have to struggle to come close to. But every time he makes a step, I make 2 or 3 steps. I mean, just recently, over the weekend, he tried a low shot, saying that we had left garbage outside the playing field, which was an outright lie. We had a function on Easter Sunday. It was kite flying, very successful. Kite flying, kite making, that's right. Kite making and kite flying fun day. And that ended a little after 4. It was scheduled to end at 4, but we went a little beyond 4. And when we were finished, we cleaned up everything that we had used, and we packaged them, and we took them away and disposed of them. So we didn't leave anything there. Of course, there were other events, and there was one in particular, and it is possible that they could have placed the garbage there. However, I think to be fair to those persons, we must point out that the garbage was placed in plastic bags by whomever. And it's just a sad thing that the garbage remained there for so long. And that is an indictment on the current representative, because when the UPP was in office, I know for sure that we made certain that we had garbage disposal bins at strategic locations in the constituency. And so for the garbage to remain there were not even proper garbage facilities. And then, because the government hasn't paid the workers at solid waste, then the work is not being done at the pace that it ought to be done. And so you find that a lot of the things that should be done are not being done. And this is a clear example of what happens when the government fails to pay workers, and workers are frustrated and they're spending their time protesting and demanding their money and coming out and showing their dissatisfaction. So all in all, everything is pointing to a change in the country, a change in City East, and more importantly, the need for that change, as was demonstrated by this poor attempt by Mr. Nicholas to try to embarrass me. If you see the comments, I mean, you can see them, you can see the comment. I mean, as old people say, go and wash your chin. Because the comments, I think if there were 200 comments, 195 were against him for his ridiculous attempt to try to smear me in that very cheap and very inaccurate way by accusing me of something which I had no knowledge of and which was not my doing, and which merely showed up his failing as the constituency representative.
But what you point to just now, it highlights the bigger picture, as you said. The whole issue of solid waste, and we've known that solid waste was in the news for quite a while in terms of the non-payment of salaries. We have the situation with the Clearview nurses, for example, also remaining in the news, and the whole industrial climate that has been heating up. Let us hear your views on that, and even up to this time that it has not quelled.
Yeah. Well, let's start even with the constituency of City East. Just early last week, a group from the constituency who work for solid waste, they had to mount a picket. And they had to picket because they were complaining they can't feed their young families, they can't take care of themselves, that they're being treated in a very rough and a way that is not suitable for the persons who are doing the work. They've been treated very shabbily. And they were standing up, and these are persons who got their jobs and expected that they would be paid. And I think what upsets a lot of them is the fact that there's just no work. So there's no pay and no work. Nobody says anything. It's just as though they're nothing. One of the guys on his placard was also carrying that. We're humans too. And when you listen to them on the mic, they're really protesting that they're being treated in a subhuman manner. So that's indicative of how people are feeling. So that's one set of protests for persons who are paid by solid waste. But I want to tip my hat to the workers at Clearview. And the workers at Clearview have shown remarkable resilience and strength, fortitude. They have been out there on a daily basis, and they're determined that they will not surrender, they will not retreat, and they're going to stand up because what they're standing up for is their rights. Now, what is ironic and very sad is the fact that they're complaining about the lack of proper lighting facilities up at the Clearview facility, which ought to be a priority for any sensible government. That this is a facility where lighting is obviously very important, and having dark areas certainly won't help, especially when you are responsible for the care and custody of persons who were staying there, patients who were staying there, and anything could happen. Persons are placing their lives in danger where you have portions of the property that are not properly lit. But what is even more interesting is that when you go up to the Prime Minister's farm, he has a full row of solar lights. His entire perimeter fence has the best and the brightest solar lights. But the Clear View facility, which accommodates patients in that facility, and where you have nurses and other attendants and staff who are responsible for the care of these individuals. Imagine they cannot depend on a properly lit perimeter fence for a facility that is as important as that, a high-risk facility. And yet the Prime Minister, that's a priority for them. So it's in keeping with their philosophy of self-enrichment and the me first philosophy. It's all about me first. So the needs of the people have been sadly neglected by this dictator. The needs of the people have been ignored by this self-serving demigod. The needs of the people have been completely pushed aside so that the Gaston-bound goon squad, that they can prosper while others suffer. And so I say hats off to those workers at Clearview, because in the face of threats and intimidation, they're standing their ground. So I just want to say to each of those workers, big up, stand up. What you're doing has earned you the admiration and respect of right-thinking people here in Antigua.
Now, I had a glance at the cabinet notes for this week, and there are a number of things that... Yes, sure.
Yes. We're talking about City East.
Oh, yes.
And I just wanted to really mention that it's a tremendous inconvenience that is being caused to the residents of City East because of a totally chaotic situation that is taking place in the constituency. Now, the issue of the drainage is one, obviously, that everybody knows has to be addressed. And since during my period, we had already addressed it, maybe during the break I'll show you a flyer that was done way back in 2010 when we designed a program that would have been for 2014 to 2016, where we had to work with the Environment Division, with the Global Environment Fund to seek funding for this program. It has taken a while, but it has eventually come to bear fruit. So it's a good thing that we're addressing that. However, there doesn't appear to be any plan. They have been digging up the roads and the drains and the bridges.
A number of diversions.
The constituency representative has not even seen it fit to ensure that there's proper signage to guide people to the detours. I mean, if you do not know the Lower Gambler's Upper Fort Road area, you can get yourself into a real pickle, because you head north, blocked. You reverse, you head west, blocked. You come out. It is an absolute mess. So for 6 months now, just between 5 and 6 months, we've been waiting for them to complete the bridge on Palm Street. It's at the bottom of Palm Street and Walton Christian Drive.
Okay.
And that has created so much inconvenience for everyone. So that while one understands the work, there doesn't seem to be any plan in terms of how it is going to be completed and when it's going to be completed. Then you have on Sport Street, that's close to the football field and the basketball court. That whole area has been completely dug up, again creating a mess and havoc in the community. And that's been there now again for about 5 months, going on 6 months, and nobody knows what's happening. And then more recently, on Penny Lane, they dug up that was about 3 months ago. And there's just a big pile of mold, again, there doesn't seem to be a clear strategy, a clear plan in terms of what's going to happen. And then on Summer Lane, that was 5 months ago, where they dug up Summer Lane, and it's just like there with the mold, and no plan seems to be in place. There was no consultation with the community to say that we're going to be carrying out these works, and you can expect that there will be some inconvenience. We're going to start with such and such a road, and then after we complete that, we will go to this one. That's not what's happening. You now have 4 major areas of disruption in the constituency. Major, where there's no way you can pass. You have to divert and go to other areas. And then more recently, on Anchorage Road, that whole road has been dug up, but that's only been done over a matter of days. And I have to say that the work that's done on the other side, in the rural north part of the country, that's in the Yorks area, they seem to have been working at a rate that is much faster than the one in the City East constituency. And I don't know why that is so. But the fact of the matter is, there appears to be no plan, there appears to be no clear system. They're causing great havoc and inconvenience to people, and the representative doesn't have a clue. He doesn't seem to even know what is going on. And these are the things that we really must change. We need to really get a clear structure in place, a plan, a system, explain to people what is happening, tell them time frames. We'll be finished, for example, Palm Street by end of June. We'll be finished Sport Street by a certain date, and work to complete those schedules. And apologize to people for the terrible inconvenience that has been caused. And that's representation. We have no representation in St. John City East.
And on that note, we are at our first break, or at our break. We're going to come back with some more and look at some national issues even. But I just want to remind our viewers and our listeners that you can be part of the discussion. You can send us your questions via Facebook or otherwise, and we'll be more than happy to share them with the political leader. Of course, share the live, invite your friends, family, and others to join in the discussion by sharing the live. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back.
Open, and who better to socialize with than the United Progressive Party? Food Zone by the Sea. Food Zone by the Sea. At Pensioners Beach, the newest Saturday night hangout in Antigua. Great food, a well-stocked bar, and non-stop entertainment for everyone. King Warrior, cannabis, and young juggler sounds. Bringing the music vibes all day. You'll also be entertained by performances from Queen Ivina, singing Althea, G.E., Island Prince, Lyrical Reds, Lipnostic, Black Maddie, Mukaya, and the Cutting Edge Band. Join the United Progressive Party, Family, and Food Zone by the Sea down at Pensioners Beach. Every Saturday starting May 28th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's the right atmosphere, so come, eat, drink, and party with us. A UPP social event.
Feel like people not understand me. I don't want to even give me a chance. Go school, I'm a hard skill. I'm a hard worker, but there's just not enough jobs out there. The economy is so bad that I'm ashamed to say that we're in the year 2022 and water hardly one near the pipe. No, them can't tell how we, in order to get a job, I must take the job. I understand the vaccine is a good thing and all that, but I just hate the fact that it's mandated. It's my body, it's my choice. I shouldn't be denied a job, education, or benefits because the choices I make for my body. For me, this time, personally, the UPP is the right choice because they are the party of choice.
It's time to join the family at the People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We offer savings accounts, deposits, fixed deposits, loans, among other related services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook, and you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
And we say welcome back to the Captain's Corner, where we are talking about a myriad of issues this evening. But Captain, you wanted to make special reference again to the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union.
I just wanted to offer congratulations to the union as their celebration this week. We just want to say to them that the United Progressive Party has always been a close ally and a supporter of the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union, and so we join with them during this very important celebration, and certainly we'll be with them for the banquet on the 28th. And I was thinking of the cycle ride. They're having a cycle ride on Sunday the 29th, I think.
And you were thinking of taking part?
I was thinking of taking part, but then I realized that it's probably, as I say, above my pay grade.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were saying you leave the others in the dust. Oh, okay. You wanted to get that out of the way, but you also wanted, before we deal with the other national issues, to talk about the appeal of the bus cases. I thought that was behind us.
Yeah, well, the appeal in the bus case, well, the bus cases, it comes up on Monday the 23rd, the political persecution and the victimization of opponents of this wicked regime continues. And so, even though we were vindicated, first of all, in the magistrate's court by Magistrate Clark, and the government then appealed that using the DPP, and the court ruled that a different legal test should be applied and a different magistrate should hear it, and a different magistrate heard it, and this magistrate, she sent it up to the High Court. We went up to the High Court, and after the evidence had been presented, the judge ruled that there was no case to answer. That means at halftime, the judge said, look, nothing that I have heard here is required to put the defendants to even defend themselves, because you have not made out a case against them. So the judge threw out the case, so that's the second time the case was being thrown out. And then they decided that they were going to appeal. Well, on Monday it comes up, but first there's going to be a preliminary point. Well, not a preliminary point per se, but Justin Simon, one of the lawyers on the case, QC, he has filed an objection to the appeal.
Okay.
That they failed to do something that was very important for them to do for the appeal to even reach the appeal court. So that will be heard, and then they recognize their error, so they're trying to cure their error by asking for an extension of time so that they can refile it, and this time they would like to refile it using a different procedure. So that will be very interesting on Monday. But I continue to be amazed that we have a director of public prosecutions who seems determined to do the bidding of a dastardly political group of hoodlums and thugs. He seems very willing to be at their beck and call. And I say that as my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's my opinion based on how the facts have unfolded. That here we have a situation where after the case was thrown out, the Prime Minister went on radio and he was saying that yes, they must appeal this. This ought to be appealed. And he's making all kind of outlandish and incorrect statements about the facts of the case. He knew nothing about either the legal aspects or the factual aspects. And not surprisingly, shortly afterwards, the DPP announced that he's filing an appeal. And so in my opinion, the whole thing is politically motivated. He's continuing this fight against leaders of the United Progressive Party, and in particular myself. In fact, somebody in the Labour Party told me how disappointed the leadership of the party was because they had based their election plans on me going to prison.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. But he said, yes, I'm serious. They were depending on the judge to send me to prison and then they would call elections in the hope that I would have been imprisoned. Well, obviously, that didn't happen. But I'm still flabbergasted. And the DPP, you understand, he has his own problems. I mean, just recently, he was brought before the disciplinary tribunal in Jamaica. They ruled that he had been guilty of professional misconduct. He had witnessed something when the person was not in front of him. And some people would say, oh, well, you know, lawyers do that. But what was important to me wasn't so much the fact that he witnessed the document when in fact the person was not even in front of him. But when you read the decision of the disciplinary tribunal, it makes you wonder, what manner of man is this really? You have a situation where, first of all, the person who is named as the complainant, he, between 1999 and 2002, he was living in the United States. This is the person who complained the DPP to the disciplinary tribunal. And he regularly, according to the evidence that was presented, he regularly came down from Jamaica, from the United States, to Jamaica with cash, bringing cash, hard, cold cash. And the cash was used to buy properties. And the whole problem with the disciplinary hearing was that the complainant accused the now DPP of some wrongdoing. Well, a man is coming down with cash, and you have an attorney who's using that cash to assist in the purchase of properties. Well, I mean, if you went even to Sunday school, you don't have to go to law school, even if you went to Sunday school, and you have somebody coming down from Miami or wherever in the United States, bringing raw cash
to make purchase of property.
This cash is being used to purchase property. What do you have with that?
A red flag.
What do you have with that? Well, not surprisingly, from 2003 to 2015, the said man ended up in a federal prison, convicted of conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States. So, say no more. I'm just saying it as it appears in the fact. But the point I'm making about our good friend who occupies the office of the DPP, who's coming after us, he had chunk for us. What they said about him is what I find very interesting in the decision. On the section where they have discussion and analysis, it said, with regard to the witnesses as to
the facts. Apart from Miss Anique Williams, the panel did not accept the other witnesses as witnesses of truth. That includes the man who is now sitting as our DPP. They're saying that this man appeared before them just 2 or 3 years ago, and they did not accept him as a witness of truth. When you don't accept somebody as a witness of truth,
You're a liar.
okay then. They went on to say, they referred to him as the attorney because he gave evidence as the attorney. The other person gave evidence as the complainant. They said, the attorney was a rather evasive witness. This is a man who is our DPP, cross-examining people. A minister of justice, because that's what you call a DPP, is supposed to look about justice. They say one is not a truthful person. So that is the man who is our DPP, who is trying to criminalize us, who is trying to put us in jail. And the very panel in Jamaica that he appeared before, just recently, they say he is not a man of truth. What is this? They found him to be an evasive witness. What that means? Evasive. When you ask you one question, you dodge it. They went on to say, on many occasions, he tried to sidestep questions and answer not what was asked of him, but what he wanted to answer. He said, for example, for a long while he tried not to answer a very simple question as to whether the transfers were signed in his presence by saying he was not physically present, but based on instructions, notwithstanding the simplicity of the question, which simply required a yes or no answer. And then they go on to say about him again in describing the man who now occupies the sacred office of DPP. They said, the attorney also gave evidence which when analyzed made no sense and could not have been true. Oh my goodness me. DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, he's the man charged with the constitutional responsibility of maintaining justice in our system. How can we have people like that occupying this position?
But my question, when the judgment was handed down, our Attorney General said that he will be suspended while all this was going on, and yet he has been reinstated as DPP. Does that mean that he has been cleared? I don't understand. And why was it? Why is there no noise about this? He has gone right back to where we were when this all started.
This is why it's important to mention it, because there are some positions which must be, as they say, beyond reproach.
Yes.
You must not be able to look on the holder of the position and be able to throw stones. You must not be able to look at the holder of the position and say, you hush because you did the same thing too. How could it be that you have a DPP who's going to be prosecuting people, accusing witnesses at sometimes of telling lies, and the witness could look back at him and say, you calling me a liar? What did they call you in Jamaica? What did they call you? So it is sad in my view, and nothing has been said about it by some persons, because I'll speak out, but in some places, you know, some people get protection from others. They would not be mentioned. The poor man, if he were in this position, the poor man would be treated differently. But here it is, somebody who has been literally accused by a panel of lawyers constituted to try this matter, and they accuse him of not being a person of truth. That's alone. You can't have these kind of things hanging over here. And you see, that's a question of fact. That's not a question of law. that you can't appeal a question of fact. If they say, we find you to be a liar, that's how we find you. That is our judgment, looking at your demeanor, listening to your words, watching your eyes when you talk. They say he's evasive. How can we have somebody like that heading up our prosecution department? I'm saying that Antigua is a place where we don't seem to have any standards. We do not seem to have standards under this Labour Party administration. Anything goes. Anybody can do that. I mean, look at the Attorney General of all persons. Whilst he was Attorney General, was hauled before the courts in a similar manner. We couldn't account for certain things. It is just ridiculous. And we have to maintain these standards. If we don't, people will lose confidence in our judicial system. And a lot of people have already lost confidence in our judicial system. And this type of situation certainly doesn't help. It does not serve to build confidence in people, and it undermines confidence in the system. And I am speaking out about it. Yes, I'm personally affected because he's aiming guns at me. But I'm saying, who are you to be an accuser of anybody when you've already been tainted and called a liar by a panel of eminent persons who were able to look at you, listen to you, and judge you? That's my point.
And hence, you come to the conclusion that this appeal is nothing more than political persecution.
This appeal is it's nothing more than a continuation of the persecution of opponents of the dastardly gang headed by Gaston Bond. They are a group of people who are reprobates. They have betrayed the trust of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. They have shown that they are interested only in themselves. The situation I mentioned, the Prime Minister, his farm, fully lit, solar lights, and he doesn't even feel any shame, any embarrassment that the workers at Clearview are complaining that they don't have any lights. But he has lights because he is a bigger priority.
Or some villages are still in darkness.
I'm telling you.
But they've indicated that we need to take another break. We feel the passion. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we get a chance to look at some of the national issues that are affecting us. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back.
Saturday hangout spot is about to open. And who better to socialize with than the United Progressive Party? Food Zone by the Sea. Food Zone by the Sea. At Pensioners Beach, the newest Saturday night hangout in Antigua. Great food, a well-stocked bar, and non-stop entertainment for everyone. King Warrior, Cannabis, and Young Juggler Sounds. Bringing the music vibes all day. You'll also be entertained by performances from Queen Ivina, singing out ya, G.E., Island Prince, Lyrical Reds, Lipnostic, Black Maddie, Mukaya, and the Cutting Edge Band. Join the United Progressive Party, Family and Food Zone by the Sea down at Pensioners Beach. Every Saturday starting May 28th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's the right atmosphere, so come, eat, drink, and party with us. A UPP social event.
But us feel like people not understand me. I don't want to even give you a chance. Go school, I'm a hard skill. I'm a hard worker, but there's just not enough jobs out there. The economy is so bad that I'm ashamed to say that we're in the year 2022 and water hardly going near the pipe. More than I can tell how we, in order to get a job, I must take the job. I understand the vaccine is a good thing and all of that. But I just hate the fact that it's mandated. It's my body, it's my choice. I shouldn't be denied a job, education, or benefits because the choices I make with my body. For me, this time, personally, the UPP is the right choice because they are the party of choice.
It's time to join the family at the People's Cooperative Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We offer savings accounts, deposits, fixed deposits, loans, among other related services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook. And you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
And we say welcome back to the Captain's Corner. This is our final segment. And someone is reminding us on Facebook that it's not just darkness around the country, but there's no water for wash our kin. And I think that's a good way to get into the next segment, because one of the points I wanted to raise was coming out of the cabinet notes for today, or as published today, was the whole issue of newly arrived membranes for the desalinated plants at Crabs, and the output of potable water will be increased by 250,000 gallons of water daily beginning this weekend.
Yes. Too little?
Too late.
Too late. Now, this is not an issue where the drought just came upon us. The drought beset Antigua somewhere around 2012, 2013. And we immediately at the time moved to do a number of things in order to place Antigua and Barbuda in a much better position, especially with respect to storage and the production of water. Now, we understood that we would be relying primarily on desalinated water during this drought period, however it would have lasted. And that meant that we would have to make certain that there is sufficient output of water. Now, at the time, Semcorp were producing 4.5 million gallons of water per day. It's a company from Singapore, and they were maintaining the plant and making sure that we were getting an adequate output from the plant as it was designed. Now, you cannot just run a plant like running a car and don't change your oil filter, don't change your oil, don't change the basic things. That's what APA did after they took it over. APA took it over in 2016, and they literally just ran it into the ground. And so from a plant that was producing over 4 million gallons a day, it came down to producing half of that, 2 million gallons a day. 2 million gallons, half the capacity of the plant. Now they're telling us that they've been able to source some membranes.
Yes.
These are membranes that should have been sourced 5 years ago. So we're going with them now. These are membranes that should have been sourced 5 years ago. And they should have been maintaining them, they should have been replacing them, and ensuring that the plant could produce at the capacity so that people can get water. This is not an academic issue where you just want the plant to be producing water for the sake of producing water. People are suffering. In Buckley's right now, it's drip, drip, drip. There was water yesterday, there was no water on Wednesday, there was no water on Tuesday, and there was no water on Monday, there was water on Sunday. People are suffering. Classes in schools have had to be terminated and children have had to be sent home. We've had to endure office closures early. And this is not about drought, this is about mismanagement. That the membranes are only now being sourced at a cost of approximately $1.2 million. So for 8 years, they couldn't find $1.2 million with all the billions they got in CIP. But just before the election now, they're finding the 1.2 million because they're trying to see how they can fool people, bamboozle people with election water.
And so it's a buzz of activity.
They're trying to tell people now, oh, we're fixing it. We're saying too little, too late, red dead. No. Even as they are forcing to put these membranes in, the talk of the town is that they have not yet installed the cartridge filters. Now the cartridge filters in the process of reverse osmosis is one whereby the material passes through the cartridge filters first. And that's where a lot of the hard material, the rough material and so is taken out, that's extracted. And then it goes in a pressurized way to the membranes. Now, if you don't have proper cartridge filters and you're making all the rough material go into the membranes, you're looking to mash up the membrane.
Wow.
The membranes ought to have a lifespan of between 3 and 5 years, depending on how you treat them. If you are going to force the rough material straight to the membranes, it will have a lifespan of approximately 1 year. So that might be another $1 million down the drain because these people, they don't care. Their only interest is to see how they can fool people to get back into office. So if the membranes are destroyed and we go back into a cycle where we still have no proper water supply, then that will be money wasted and more inconvenience caused to people. Then they say now that it's going to increase water production by 250,000 gallons. What is that? What is that? Up at the Crabs facility, there are 6 units. 6 units for the one plant. 4 large units and 2 small units. The 2 small units are currently being repaired by some engineers who came in from Dubai. And they are fixing units that have been down for the last 2 years. So whilst Robin Yearwood is puffing his cigar and eating hotel food, people are suffering.
Yeah.
So he didn't even seem to have a clue of what was happening. And you have 2 of the 6 plants out of commission for 2 years. You have tanks that are leaking. Well, the weather went up and showed the tanks that are leaking, rusty, in need of repair. And they sit down in cabinet every week telling the people of Antigua and Barbuda, we're doing all we can. We can't do any better. Is the drought? Nonsense. A bold-faced lie. Nothing to do with drought. Everything to do with mismanagement. So that's there. And when you go to all the other plants, all of them are producing at half the capacity because this government does not care. You have one we call Farmer Brown. He is putting his attention to making money on his farm. So who can get what is their business? He has water. He has put and sunk wells on his farm. So he has water. But what about the other farmers? What about the other people in this country? These people are selfish. They're avaricious. They are bad-minded. They care only about themselves. It is so sad to see the country being governed in this way by people who are not only incompetent, but people who have no heart, people who have no soul, people who see land only as real estate, people who see the opportunity in water. And I'm going to mention that in a minute, the whole thing about trucking of water and buying of water. But the point I'm making is, And I want everybody to understand that, because you see, they walk around and tell people, oh, it's a drought, you don't see no rain come. But we have already put things in place so that the water is coming from the sea. So don't blame the drought, because the water is coming from the sea. But then the second point now, in any water supply system, apart from the production of water, is the storage of water. And you look around again. The United Progressive Party administration, we had installed several storage tanks with sufficient capacity to store water, because there's no point just producing water if you can't store it. You have to store the water that you're producing, because you won't be producing exactly the same amount that is going to the pipes. So you have to store so that you can modulate and you can regulate the supply of water that's going to people. You take the one at Patterson, just by Liberta. That one, they say, has not been hooked up because they have not been able to put in the pipe and a pump. Well, with the millions and millions that they've been collecting with CIP, you mean to say that they could not put aside some money to buy the necessary pipe so that people can get water in their homes? You look at Buckley's, sitting there, same thing. They had St. Philip, College, all of these things. Look at what the UPP did. We repaired the Grace Farm Reservoir. Right. Luckily we did that, so at least that's another source of water. These are things, concrete, tangible things that we did. And up to now, those storage tanks have not been hooked up. And again, it's so important to understand the role that these storage tanks play. Because the way the system would work, according to how it has been explained to me, they would pump it up through transmission lines up to the tanks in the night, and then in the day they gravity feed it through the distribution lines. So that is the way the whole thing was supposed to work, so people could get it in relief.
So you're saying all this could have happened several years ago, so we did not have to be in the position we're in.
We did not have to. You got it absolutely right. Okay. We did not have to be where we are. It is gross negligence, gross incompetence, and a don't care attitude. And for 8 years, the minister responsible sat there smoking his expensive cigar while people were suffering. And to use his own words, which have come back to haunt him, Papi can't be, Mommy can't be, and he.
And a government that cannot provide essential services such as water does not deserve to be in office. And I'm paraphrasing.
Those are his words.
Yes.
And he's right for change.
Okay. You wanted to touch quickly
On the transportation of water or trucking of water?
The trucking of water. No, that has become big business. And, you know, many of the truckers are people, good people, they're my friends. And I am not saying anything adverse as far as they're concerned. If there is a water shortage and there can be a water truck to help people get water, there's nothing wrong with that. It's an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. But I am asking the government of Antigua and Barbuda, in particular the ministers of government, I am calling on them to declare whether or not any of them have any interest in any water trucking, directly or indirectly. I'm giving them the chance. Come clean. And I'm calling on each government minister to make a declaration that they are not involved in the transportation of water, either directly or indirectly. I am calling on each government minister to say, clearly, I am not involved in the transportation of water. If they fail to do so, we know why.
Okay. Time is quickly running out.
Is that right?
But I'm not sure if you find this one funny. But for several weeks, months even, we've been talking about the absence of fire trucks on the island. And today's cabinet notes tell us that a fire truck should have landed at the port today, and, quote, to supplement those that have already been deployed.
Those that have already been deployed. Now, the one fire truck that we have in Antigua. You know, it's just, again, use of words to try to fool people. These people could not tell the truth, even if their life depended on it. Now, hear them. In addition to those that have already been deployed, and they well know is one fire truck. We have to serve the whole of Antigua, except for what is at the airport, which cannot be moved from the airport. The one fire truck. Now, they're bringing in after how many weeks? Because they told us the fire truck was coming in 2 weeks, which was a blatant lie. Blatant lie. You can't just get a fire truck in 2 weeks like that. It doesn't work like that. So they're now bringing the fire truck 2 months later, and using language to suggest that others have been deployed. The government is a failure, and they have to accept that. I mean, I've never seen a government with so many failures. Something as basic as your fire service, making sure there are adequate numbers of fire trucks. The UPP put 6 fire trucks there, and that will come out when we publish our Book of Achievements. We put 6 fire trucks there, new fire trucks, brand new fire trucks. We did that, the UPP. And the Labour Party come in, they mash them up and don't replace them. And now we have 1 fire truck, and they bring in 1, and they're going on like if they have ground legs to bring in the 1 fire truck to add to the existing 1. We need 7 fire trucks at a minimum in Antigua. Fire trucks, we need at least 7. Speak to anybody who's in the system, and they tell you that's what we need for adequate coverage. You know. It is so sad. And then you see them, the money, you see, it's all about the wasting of money, bad money management. Now, I mean, I am for the university, everybody knows that. But we have to watch it carefully, because the university could end up being embarrassed by this government. You think the little people get bad play by this government? It's a matter of time, and we don't want that to happen. But they're promising the university $75 million US. No, they haven't put it in the budget. It was not in the throne speech. No. We all want to see the university succeed, but we want to see realistic proposals put on the table. Now, if it is that it's going to cost $75 million US, or you call that how much? About 200 million EC dollars. In that sort of ballpark. Where are we going to get the money from? Who's going to pay it? Why was no provision made for it? Why was no plan for it? How do you just jump up and say you're going to do that? Is there no plan? Didn't you know you needed that? The university has been here for a few years now. Didn't you know that? When you did the throne speech, shouldn't it have been in there? When you did the budget estimate, shouldn't it have been in there? So where's the money going to come from? So that means something that's very important will have to suffer, because they're going to have to cut back on something that is promised. What will that be? Will that be water? Will that be health? Will that be education for our children? What will that be? Then, the minister and an official from the ministry went up to London. To do what? To sign an MOU. So you go to London to sign an MOU in today's world?
Yes.
You go to London to sign an MOU, or are you just looking free trade? What are you going to London to sign an MOU for? The MOU could have been sent by email. You examine it, you could do a Zoom call, you could go through any difficulties, you correct them, you sign it in counterparts.
Yes.
Listen, it's all about money management. It's all about money management. It's about wasting of resources. It's about doing those things which are unnecessary and leaving those things that are necessary undone.
We are running out of time if we have not done so already, but I'm just going to ask for the indulgence of the producers. People have been asking, what's next in the UPP campaign?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, as I indicated to you, we're full of ideas.
Yes.
And so, for the first part of the year, we needed to ensure that we got the campaign moving, we got the engine started up. So the engine is nice and warm.
Yes.
So whenever the election is called, it won't be a cold start, because the engine is already warm.
What we're doing now is we're focusing on some other strategies. We'll be doing a lot more town hall meetings. I'm sure you heard Brother Jamal Pringle recently.
Yes.
He announced it a few weeks ago that the strategy will now be based more on town hall meetings, spot meetings, and this type of thing. We're going to be digging into the communities now. We've done that, what some people call the ear wall.
Right.
We have had some very successful rallies. People are still asking me, when is the next rally? That's what we want.
Right.
We want to build a pent-up demand.
But you need to say too, and give a plug, it's not just rallies and meetings. There's some fun things. For example, is it the food zone? And there's the cricket match. And also I'll give you, I don't think the producers will mind if you spend 30 seconds just to give them a plug.
Right. So on Sunday, that will be the 29th, I believe. Sunday the 29th, yes. We'll be having, no, sorry.
No, the 28th.
The
Saturday the
28th. Oh, my goodness me.
Saturday the
I might get a
28th.
cough when I come out. Anyway, on Saturday the 28th at Pensioners, we'll be having a big session where everybody is invited to come out on that particular day.
A family event.
It's a family event, and we're really looking forward to hosting everyone on the 28th. Then on Whit Sunday, we're going to be having a zonal cricket competition where the 16 constituencies will be competing in 4 zones.
Yes.
So that Zone 1 will be, for example, 4 constituencies. Zone 2, which is the zone I'm in, it's City East, City West, Rural East, and Rural North.
Yes.
Will be Zone 2. I'm just telling you, so when you hear that Zone 2, 1, you won't be wondering.
No, it's okay, because Zone 4, and Brother Bueno will bear me out on this, Zone 4, which comprises St. Philip's North, St. Philip's South, St. Peter, and St. George, when Zone 4 wins, but go ahead.
Right, so that's going to be a real fun event up at Rising Sun Cricket Grounds. And so we're calling on everyone, and we're inviting everyone to come out on Sunday, Whit Sunday, because we'll be having the zonal cricket competition.
And these are mixed teams, I understand.
Mixed teams, yes. Male and female, no gender discrimination. So that should be great fun. But all eyes are on the 28th, and we're looking to have everyone come out on the 28th and give their full support to the United Progressive Party for what will be a wonderful time that we'll all be having.
Okay, and since we have gotten the permission to go over, I would not take advantage of it, but to say thank you very much for another exciting interview with you here on the Captain's Corner, letting your feelings be known, your concerns, your expectations, and of course what's happening in terms of the campaign. We want to thank all of our listeners, all of our viewers for being part of Facebook. We could not get to the questions that were posed because we had some issues that we really had to get out. But we'll be back again next Thursday. Be sure to join us. Remind your friends, families, everyone that we'll be back next Thursday with another edition of the Captain's Corner. So on behalf of the political leader, Harold Lovell, I am Shawn Nicholas saying good night.
By the way, before
yes,
you go,
yes.
Did we give the location for the 28th?
Pensioners Beach?
Beach.
Yes.
Pensioners Beach, starting at noon.
Okay.
Don't forget. I'm so sorry.
All right, so bye-bye.
Okay.
The right Saturday hangout spot is about to open. And who better to socialize with than the United Progressive Party? Food Zone by the Sea. Food Zone by the Sea. On Pensioners Beach, the newest Saturday night hangout in Antigua. Great food, a well-stocked bar, and non-stop entertainment for everyone. King Warrior, Cannabis, and Young Juggler Sounds. Bringing the music vibes all day. You'll also be entertained by performances from Queen Ivina, singing Althea, G.E., Island Prince, Lyrical Reds, Lipnostic, Black Maddie, Mukaya, and the Cutting Edge Band. Join the United Progressive Party, Family, and Food Zone by the Sea down at Pensioners Beach. Every Saturday starting May 28th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's create the right atmosphere. So come, eat, drink, and party with us. A UPP social event.
Feel like people not understand me. I don't want even give me a chance. Go school, I'm a hard skill. I'm a hard worker, but there's just not enough jobs out there. The economy is so bad that I'm ashamed to say that we're in the year 2022 and water hardly one near the pipe. No them can't tell how we, in order to get a job, I must take the job. I understand the vaccine is a good thing and all that, but I just hate the fact that it's mandated. It's my body, it's my choice. I shouldn't be denied a job, education, or benefits because the choices I make for my body. For me, this time, personally, the UPP is the right choice because they are the party of choice.
It's time to join the family at